In this video, we are going to look at the structure of isochronic tone tracks in Mind Workstation. The first thing we'll want to do is insert an isochronic tone track. So we want to go to Content, Tones, Isochronic Beats. And you can see a track is added labeled Isochronic Tones number 1. Now you could have also done that through the Add Content drop down over here. Those two are the same. Now, when we add isochronic tones to our session, they are automatically assigned the entrainment track. So in this case, they're going to pulse at a frequency of 10 Hertz. And it's going to have a pitch of 180. That is the default. So if I play it now, then you will hear that the isochronic tone track is automatically made for you. But what is the structure of that? What is Mind Workstation actually doing? Well, first of all, we want to look at what effects have been added to achieve the isochronic pulse. And we can see that in addition to our ones that appear on any track, which are any tone track, pitch and volume, we have amplitude entrainment phase, amplitude entrainment waveform, amplitude entrainment intensity. Now I also want to show you that if we hit the edit button, that opens up a new document tab, and we have the breakdown of all of those tracks laid out on one screen as a grid. So we have the option of choosing them from a menu at which they switch the track here, the controller for the node. So any one that I select here, and it'll indicate which one's selected. So this would be the waveform. That one doesn't have nodes. Or the intensity, which can have nodes. So what is happening in actuality, we can see under the effects button here, is that amplitude entrainment has been added. So if we remove that and hit OK, all of those extra tracks are gone. And of course, these are synced together. So we no longer have an isochronic beat. Now we just have a solid tone. So let's add that back. Go to Effects, Entrainment Types, hit the little plus sign, select Amplitude Entrainment, and once again, we now have an isochronic beat. Now by default, the isochronic depth is controlled by the intensity. Intensity is the same as a depth setting. Now let's examine that in a little more detail. So if we were to select, say, 50% here, it's easier, of course, to use the numerical inputs over onto the side. Now we would hear that the isochronic beat is not nearly as intense, meaning that the depth of the modulation is not as intense. And you can hear that by going all the way down to 0. At which we just have a single solid tone. So if I come up, just say to 10, I'll do it numerically over here. Then you'll just hear the slightest pulse. All right, so it doesn't really start to become noticeable till around 30 or so. Okay, now the isochronic beat is quite obvious. And what's happening is that some of the tone, it's like layers, some of the tone is coming through, and the actual modulation is only cutting slightly into the beat and allowing some of that tone layer to go through. Whereas if we go to 100, it chops it into little pieces. So that is the intensity settings for isochronic beats. Phase and waveform we'll actually cover in other videos. In this one, I just wanted to show the structure of what is actually done when you create an isochronic beat in Mind Workstation. Because the more that we can understand the mechanism of what these automatic commands are doing, the more that we can manipulate them to our advantage.